Hi kids, it's Hannah from Kids Club, and today I'm going to show you a craft that hopefully you will be able to have a go at making at home. Now the craft is based on a story that we've looked at in Kids Club before, but let's see if you can remember it, and also let's help you find it again in your Bibles. I've got my Bible here, I've got the Good News Bible today, and the story can be found in the Gospels, which is the first 4 books of the New Testament. Now remember, the Bible is not just one book, it's lots of books all put together like a bit of a library. And it's in the New Testament, which is the second bit of the Bible. And I found it in Mark, the book of Mark, and it's in chapter 4 and it is verse 35. So I'm going to read it to you now. The title of the story is Jesus Calms a Storm. You can find it in Matthew and Luke too. It says, "On the evening of that same day, Jesus said to his disciples, 'Let us go across to the other side of the lake.' So they left the crowd. The disciples got into the boat in which Jesus was already sitting, and they took him with them. Other boats were there too. Suddenly, a strong wind blew up, and the waves began to spill over into the boat, so it was about to fill with water. Jesus was in the back of the boat, sleeping with his head on a pillow. The disciples woke him up and said, 'Teacher, don't you care that we're about to die?' Jesus stood up and commanded the wind. 'Be quiet,' he said to the waves. 'Be still.' The wind died down, and there was great calm. Then Jesus said to his disciples, 'Why are you frightened? Have you still no faith?' They were terribly afraid and said to one another, 'Who is this man? Even the wind and the waves obey him.' So his disciples were confused because they were worried. And Jesus was saying, 'You don't have to be worried. You don't have to be afraid. Have you not got faith?' Now sometimes we have storms in our life that aren't wind and waves and rain. Sometimes it'll be something that feels big at school, or maybe it's something that feels big with our friends, or sometimes it's something that feels big at home. And our tummies can feel a bit stormy. And actually, what we know is that we can ask Jesus, who we sometimes call the Prince of Peace, to help us in that stormy feeling or that stormy situation. We just need to pray to Jesus, 'Jesus, come and bring your peace and help me through this storm.' Now, what we're going to do today, the craft we're going to make, is something to help us remember to ask Jesus to come and bring his peace in a storm. So, you'll need to get at home, a piece of plain card. Now I've stuck some paper onto this so I can draw on it. It actually was a packet of cereal, so you might have a cereal box in the cupboard that's nearly finished that you can use. This was the cereal, Hazel Chocolate Nut Pillows, one of my faves, and I've actually found some coloured paper that looks a little bit, reminded me of the sea, so I stuck that on the front. So the first thing you need to do is get your piece of card and you need to cut it so it looks like a t-shirt, or I turned it upside down, it looks like a t-shirt. So cut all the way around the edge. You might want a grown-up to help you, and make your t-shirt out of your cereal box. And then turn it back upside down so it looks like an upside down t-shirt. You want to cover it with anything you can find that looks like or reminds you of the sea. Now I chose this wrapping paper, but you might have some colouring pens, some colouring pencils, maybe some crayons, maybe some glitter, and you can cover it up with that paper. Once you've done that, you want to fold your card up so the arms of the t-shirt are up a little bit higher. Can you see? I'll unfold it so you can see it again. I folded a line across the middle at the top of where the 2 flaps are. I folded it up like that, and then I've covered this bit of my card with my really cool sea paper as well. And again, you might want to colour that in. When you've done that, and you can pause the video so you can catch up, you want to unfold it, and just where the line is, you want to cut a hole in your piece of card. I'm going to hold it up to the camera so you can see it. Can you see there's a hole? I'll see if I can look through the hole. There I am looking at you. Cut a hole in your piece of paper. Again, you might want a grown up to help you. Press pause, then you can make it so you've got it all ready like this. This took me a little while. I did it before the video. You can pause the video and go and get the bits you need and design and spend ages making your paper or making your card look really much like the sea. So when you've done that, you want to fold it over. And we've got these flappy bits. I'm going to show you what they're for. So you will need some sellotape. Maybe find the end of the sellotape first, because sometimes that takes a while. And we are going to turn ours around like that, so you can see my cereal again. And these flappy bits, we're going to fold them over, and we're going to stick them down. So I'm going to find the end of my sellotape, which I didn't do before the video. But here, look, mine was quite easy to do. Got some scissors. I'm going to cut my sellotape. I need 2 bits of sellotape, 1 for each of the tabs. I'm going to stick it to the table so I can find it again in a minute. So I'm going to do this so you can see it. I'm going to get that. I'm going to stick it on my tab. Make sure it's pressed down nicely. And I'm going to get my other piece of sellotape. Fold over this tab. Stick. Oh, it stuck to my finger. Stick it down. There we go. Right. Those t-shirt arms aren't flapping around anymore. If I turn this over, you can see what we've done is we've made a little pocket. Right at the bottom, you can see the hole we cut out. And that's the way up you're going to need it to be. Okay. Now, what I feel like I want to add is some things that we normally think of as living in the sea. This bit's my sea and this is my stormy sky. So I'm going to get a pen. I've got a pen here somewhere. And I'm going to have a go at drawing some fish in my sea. I'm going to choose, I've got a big selection of pens here in different colours. I'm going to have a go at choosing, I'm going to draw a green fish on my sea. Another green fish on my sea. Maybe I might find something that I can make some seaweed out of. That'd be a good idea. I'm going to give them little eyes. And we're also going to give them some bubbles. You're probably going to spend a nice long time making your fish look really great. I'm doing it a little bit quickly. But here are my fish. I'm trying to think, what other animals might I find? Oh, maybe I'll find an octopus. Do you think an octopus lives in the ocean? Look, that's my fish so far. I'm going to hold it up so you can see. Can you see all my fish swimming around in the sea? I'm going to add some, I might actually add an octopus. I'm going to add an octopus. I think he's wondering why there's some big waves. Because remember, we're doing something to remember the storm. He's going to look a little bit worried. There we go. There's my octopus. Can you see him? He's looking a bit worried because he's wondering why the sea is swishing and sloshing and swishing. Okay, and I'm just going to find a green pen and I'm going to see if I can add some seaweed. I like it when you go to the sea and you can watch the seaweed being moved around by the waves. I don't like it when the seaweed gets stuck in your feet though. There we go, can you see I've added some seaweed, my wiggly bits of seaweed. My fish are bobbering around and my octopus looks a bit worried. Okay, now When you finish that, you might pause the video and spend a little bit of time doing your drawing. I'm doing it a bit quickly so that I can show you how to do it. That's where you need to get your white card. Serial on the back, but I stuck some white paper. So if you don't have white card at home, you can just stick some paper on the front. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to turn this into our boat. So make sure your boat's not going to be too big. It's going to sit in your pocket. Mine just fits in my pocket, so as long as I draw my boat on my piece of paper, it's going to fit into my ocean. So I'm going to try and imagine what kind of boat they were on. Jesus was asleep on a pillow. So it might have been quite a big boat because he was at the back of the boat. And I'm going to draw some lines on it because I think the boat was made out of wood. I feel like it was a sailing ship or a fishing boat, so it would have needed a big sail so that the wind could blow them to the other side of the lake. Must have been quite a big lake. Okay, you might want to spend a little bit more time doing your boat, but that's my boat. Shall I show you? And I'm going to colour that in later when I finish doing this video, and I'm going to then make it nice and wood coloured, and then I might do a pattern on my mast. What I've done is I've done two big sails, and you'll need to do a big sail on your boat because we're going to remember the story. We actually want to write on our sail something to remind us of the story. So on this sail, I'm actually going to write down where I find the Bible story that we looked up. So I'm going to write down Matthew. Oh, I found it in Mark. You can find it in Matthew, but I'm going to write Mark because that's where I read from today. So I'm going to write down Mark. And I'm going to write down that it was chapter 4. So we write the number 4. And then I'm going to write that it was verse 35, which will help me find it. So can you see I've written Mark 4 verse 35. And then on my sail, I'm going to think about, what will help me remember that Jesus can calm the storm and that he can bring peace? I think I'm actually going to write on it. I'm going to look at my Bible story. I think I'm going to write on it what he said to the storm, because he told the storm to be still and to be quiet. So I think if I write on my sail, be still, I think that will help me remember that Jesus can calm any storm. So in big writing, I'm going to write be still. And I'm actually going to put that Jesus said that because he's the one, not us, that can make it peaceful. Can you see there? I've said be still, said Jesus. That's going to help me remember why this story is important when I'm feeling a little bit stormy. Then you'll need to get your card, get your scissors, cut it out. I'm going to try and do it super quickly because I know you're watching and you want to see what we end up making. So I can cut out my boat. You'll probably spend longer doing this and you might want to pause the video whilst you write. If you can't fit your writing in, you can always put a flag at the top of your boat and write on that. Or you could maybe print it out so that it's on paper and you stick it on. Or you could just ask a grown-up to help you and help them write it on. You might choose to write down the other places in the Bible where you can find this same story that I mentioned earlier. So, let me cut out my ship. Here it is. I've cut out my boat. I've got my sea and I've got the pocket in it that I made at the beginning. Now, my boat is going to sit in there. And can you see? It can move around as it gets stormy. And then I can remember that Jesus said, be still. The boat has to stay still, or the sea rather, has to calm down, the wind has to stop. So that's where I need that hole that we made ages ago. Now, you need to find a lolly stick, or you can find a stick from the garden. I found a wooden fork. I thought this would do the good job. And I've made sure my hole is big enough that I can put my wooden fork, and there it is poking out the top, I can put it through into the pocket where my boat is going to sit. So, next thing I've got to do is I've got to stick my boat onto my stick so that it's going to be able to bob up and down and move around in the storm. So that's where I need my sellotape again and my scissors. And I'm going to cut my sellotape, cut out my scissors. I'm going to just stick it on. Again, you might want to have a grown-up help you. You might be able to do it yourself. I'm going to make sure I've got lots of sellotape on there so it's really sticky, really stuck well, because if it's stuck really well, then when I'm feeling really stormy, I can wiggle it around loads, and then I can remember, Jesus, bring your peace. And maybe it's something actually you might like to hold on to whilst you're praying. And when you pray and invite Jesus to bring his peace, you can stop moving your boat around. So now my boat is on a stick, and I've stuck it, actually it's on a fork, but I've stuck it to it. And I'm going to turn it round, and I'm going to see if I can drop it into, here it goes. You can see it's coming out the bottom of my stormy scene. Here it is. Now I can tell the story and remember what Jesus does when he brings his peace. Can you see? I'm sloshing around. The disciples were worried because the water looked like it was going to go over the side of the boat. And if I put it down, look, it looks like the water's going to go over the side of the boat. Jesus was sleeping, but when he woke up, he said, "Be quiet, be still." And there was peace, and the storm finished. So, you can have a go at making that at home. Maybe you've started making it at home. I'd love to see what you make. I'd love to see some of your cool underwater designs. I think what I'm going to do now is I'm going to colour in my boat, colour in my sails. I'm going to make them nice and bright, and I'm going to also make sure that I add some more colour and decide what colour my octopus is going to be. So, I'd love to see your stuff. You can send it in to us if you want. There's an email address on the website for you to be able to send it to. And do have a look. Have a look at Mark, have a look at where the story is in Matthew, and have a look at Luke. And maybe you could go and tell a grown-up about the story and about what you've learnt. And I'd love it. I'd love to hear stories of you talking to your friends about how Jesus can bring peace in any situation. All we need to do is pray, and then he will bring his incredible peace. See you later. Sorry if you can't come to church this week, but how great that you get to join in online. We can't wait to see you soon. Bye, kids.